Happy Bucks Week to all who celebrate. It is Thursday morning here, recording ahead of the biggest game of the NFL weekend. First time the Patriots can say that, I don't know, maybe like 2, 3, 4 years. They're also underdogs for the first time in forever. Speaking of forever, I am still on baby watch. So I press on here in the Pats Interference Podcast, proud member of the balanced, badass, yet bubbly CLNS Media Network. This will be, though, my last episode, at least a week. And if I had to guess, but since it is my last episode, I cannot be happier to be joined by Aaron Schatz, who we've not had in a long time, officially Chief Analytics Officer at FTN Fantasy. You know him from Football Outsiders, longtime contributor to ESPN. Godfather of Football Analytics is the title we like to go with. Until last time we had you on, and I think we discovered that you indirectly or directly launched Creed in your former life.
That's one of my claims to fame, is that I'm one of the people who's responsible for Creed getting famous. Yes.
Yeah, good. Well, as much as I, just like last time, would love to spend the entire podcast on Creed.
Old DJ stories?
Yeah. Maybe we'll do one at the end. How about that? We'll see how much time we have.
The congratulations, by the way, on the upcoming kid. My daughter was born the year I started Football Outsiders. In fact, the week that Football Outsiders first exploded in readership because of Greg Easterbrook writing for us. And these things happened at the exact same time. So if the Patriots make a Super Bowl run, good luck.
Okay. Thank you. What year was that?
2003.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And then because you guys had such a stable early on. It still had good writers now at FTN, but like Barnwell was there, right? When was he?
Yeah, Barnwell was my first full-time assistant. That was a couple years later, like 07, 08, I think. And then Mike Tanier from the start and Doug Farrar from early on. And I have a coaching tree that is like Bill Walsh or Bill Parcells, just like a ton of good guys who come. Bill Connolly, used to be my college guys at ESPN now. And a guy named Dave Gardner was my assistant editor, and he's done a bunch of stuff. And Ryan Wilst at CBS, Michael David Smith at Pro Football Talk. Like a lot of people came through Football Outsiders. So I have a lot of pride.
I noticed you didn't say you had two Bills that you compared your coaching tree to, but Belichick was not one of them.
Yeah, the Belichick coaching tree has not gone as well as the Parcells coaching tree. Although, I mean, obviously there's some overlap between them, but yeah, I would rather compare myself to the Bill Walsh or Bill Parcells coaching tree.
Very good. Look, it sounded like an anecdote when you said it about your daughter, but then Barnwell starting in 07 as a Giants fan, I still believe to this day. And then they go on that Super Bowl run. There's like a little magic there behind all these numbers, Aaron, as it sounds like.
Yeah, the Eagles, right? Mike Tanier is an Eagles fan. He first wrote for me when the Eagles met the Patriots in the Super Bowl after the 2004 season. And of course, they've won 2 Super Bowls. Mm-hmm. Who hasn't had success is the University of Missouri, which is Bill Connolly, the college guy. That's his school. And that's it, right? He's a college guy. So that much more important to him than the NFL, and have not won national championships.
Yeah. Yeah. Bill is someone I read when I covered Penn State, naturally the college connection there, but it carried over a lot his, 5-factor stuff, which we do on the Monday night show. And just in terms of, the success rate and the explosive rate stuff. And obviously,
which is also a really cool example of how sports borrow from each other, because that's borrowed from 4 factors, which was Dean Oliver's methodology for measuring the NBA.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so there's a good amount of overlap and borrowing that happens between the sports. For example, when I wrote the Football Outsiders Almanac, we used to do a thing at the end of every position called Going Deep. We still do, called Going Deep, right? Where when guys don't get full tables because they're like 6th round picks, we still write a little bit about them. And Baseball Prospectus actually borrowed it, with permission to do at the end of every team write-up, some of the minor leaguers that weren't important enough to get tables in their book, they did little write-ups on, and they got that idea from us.
Cool. Wow. I'm just going to spin off into 50 more minutes of questions and anecdotes if I just don't get to football. But you, like I said at the top, are a Patriots fan in addition to all your analytics work and understanding. So when you watch them Tuesday, because I have not done an episode since the trade deadline, do nothing, I was not surprised. But what was your response and reaction to that?
I don't think I was disappointed. It would have been nice to have seen something, because I do think they've got a shot this year to take advantage of the schedule. And, once you get into the tournament, you never know what's going to happen. But, Vrabel said something in the press conference about like, we're building a program here that's for multiple years. And so the idea of holding on to your draft picks makes sense to me. Also, if you look at what they needed and what was traded, I feel like they could have used a depth safety to replace Duggar. And I still kind of feel that way. The other thing I think people were looking for, well, running back, whatever, third running back, that's fine.
Don't ask the analytics guys about the running backs. Yes.
Edge rusher.
Yeah.
But who were the edge rushers who were traded? Jalen Phillips, and I accept the idea that it would be very unlikely that Miami would trade him within the division, or you would have to really outbid the Eagles in order to get Miami to trade him within the division. Not worth it. And then Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, is he really that much better than who they have? I mean, I understand that with Keon White, there's some personality conflict there, but from an ability perspective, if Keon White couldn't get on the field for this team, is Joe Tryon-Shoyinka going to really get on the field that much for this team, having to learn the defense in the middle of the year? So I kind of understand not going after that.
Yeah, and I think that's the important part of the trade conversation, which, look, sometimes in the fan rage or certainly radio rage, people get blinded to the fact there's explaining other people's behavior and then what we would have done. And then in the middle of that is like, what were the actually actionable trades? Because you mentioned Jalen Phillips for a third. That was too rich for me. I would have done a fourth and some change. Drew Jones goes to the Ravens for a fifth. Like, everyone kept talking about him as an edge. I was like, last time I checked, he's 286 pounds.
He's
like,
not.
You could flex him out there. Maybe like conditional fifth, but then the Titans, as well as the Jets and the Dolphins, all have reasons not to deal with you. So it's not that there were zero options. They were on the phone for real possible trades. But given all of those factors and the teams you had to deal with and the players that were available and the prices that were set and their attitude that Vrabel's been very open about, I was not surprised. I still would have liked to seen some edge depth, but
if you're not going to trade a third for Jalen Phillips, I've got to imagine if you're the Dolphins, you come to the Patriots and say, I'm sorry, if you want him to trade in the division, you have to give us even more than that. And so it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, it's too bad. Maybe in free agency, we'll see what Philly does. Really quickly, you had an interesting tweet or post on Blue Sky this week. Patriots are the 7th worst team at 7-2 by DVOA, which goes back to, are we at 86 now? Or are you
78?
Further? 78. Okay. Did that hurt you at all? Did you injure yourself? The fanhood in your heart?
No, it is what it is, right? Like, they are who they are, which is that they are a slightly above average team that has been better in recent weeks, that is getting better, right? If you look, their 2 worst games by DVOA are the first 2 games, the loss to the Raiders and then the narrow victory over the Dolphins, who we now know suck. So they are playing a very easy schedule. So if you look at the schedule for the whole season, based on the average DVOA of all 17 opponents, it's the 4th easiest schedule I've ever measured. And when someone like a Dan Shaughnessy writes about that, he's right. It's a really easy schedule. Now, the good news is you take advantage of that to make a playoff run of a team that is building. The idea of the Patriots is maybe they can stumble into something awesome this year on their way to building a real champion, which is sort of what happened in 2001.
Yeah,
right. 2001 was never meant to be the year they went for a championship. It's sort of on the way to building the team that they had in 2003 and 2004. They stumbled into a couple of upset wins and won a championship in 2001. That could happen again, but it will require taking advantage of what is a very easy schedule. So they're not as good as, even though they beat the Bills, the Chiefs, the Rams, the Seahawks, etc.
Right. I'm glad you brought up the way to split the schedule too really quickly. And we're going to get to the game here in a minute. But you have on your site where everyone can go find and should subscribe to FTN Fantasy, the offensive, defensive, special teams DVOA, the subsets of those, but also weighted DVOA, which speaks to what you just suggested. Like, hey, when your worst games are at the start of the season, you don't throw them out, but you understand that they should not be given the same weight as the more recent ones. So the Patriots right now would be 12th. And I'd imagine if they beat the Bucs and don't just have a 4-leaf clover, up their ass the entire game, they might crack the top 10, at which point you have to say they're a good team, certainly.
And as time goes on, those first couple of games become farther back. The way the formula works and the way our minds work is that by the time we get to week 17, those week 1 and 2 games don't even matter.
Yeah, yeah. Interestingly enough, Tampa Bay is 13th by DVOA. So there we
They're
go.
right next to each other. So this
Yeah.
is definitely the hardest team the Patriots have played other than the Bills.
Mhm.
But it's not a great team. The Buccaneers, like the Patriots, are not quite as good as their record for a different reason. For the Patriots, it's schedule. And for the Buccaneers, it's because they've had a lot of close victories with some luck.
Yes, and incredibly wide offensive variance, which I want to get to when we talk about offense. But like, look, I love this test. You're in the grocery store and someone stops you and they want to ask about the game on Sunday, and you got like 30 seconds to explain that one thing. In this case, what is the game about? Like, what are the stakes of this? What do you say to that person?
That this is a real test. This is the first real test from a real opponent. But if you look at some of the matchups, they actually seem to kind of favor the Patriots more than I think just the 13 versus 14 shows.
Yeah, yeah, 13 versus 12, at least per your numbers right here, which is I mean, good for them
14, yeah, versus
by weighted.
by weight.
Look,
Yep.
I've already said this because, and I'm going to stick with it. Like, you're 8-2, and you're playing better recently. Your quarterback is an MVP candidate. If they win, I'll happily call them legitimate Super Bowl contenders. I don't think their championship equity is what you would find, of course, of the Chiefs or even the Seahawks now, or the Eagles or the Lions, where you're talking about 5% or greater, and that's generally kind of the cutoff, right, for some analytics folks in basketball. Like, do you have a 5% chance or greater? But you're in there. You can hang around and you win 80% of your games, including then a winning record against teams projected to be in the playoffs, Steelers, Bills, and Bucks. If you don't collapse at the end of the season, Aaron, you win this game, you can absolutely make a run of the title, in my opinion.
I mean, obviously, the big one is going to be the second game against the Bills.
Yeah.
If you win the second game against the Bills, it's very likely you win the division. And given what their record is, we're talking about, being in the hunt for the 1 seed if they beat the Bills in the second game.
And even if you don't get the 1 seed, you're talking about then possibly 2 home playoff games before you get to the AFC Championship game, which
it's
road
crazy.
warriors,
I would never have expected it
out.
before the season. This is the best case scenario. The best case scenario for the Patriots this season was that they would be a really good team, and that they would be a really good team primarily because Drake May broke out. Because the most consistent, predictive thing in the NFL is pass offense and quarterback play. So you would much rather be Mike Tanier, who I do my podcast with, 11 a.m. Mondays and Thursdays on YouTube. And then you search for the Schatz and Tanier NFL podcast if you want to download the podcast. But he makes fun of the Patriots a lot, and he compares this team to 2021.
This is a hard sell.
2021
making fun of them.
Patriots fans, Mac Jones was the weakest thing on that team.
Yeah.
And compare that to this, where the quarterback is the strongest thing on the team. And that's much more positive for the future.
Yeah, for sure. Around Drake May, we're not going to spend a ton of time on injuries because, by the time this goes up, we'll probably have a newer injury report. But no Kayshon Boutte. It's a big deal. Your number 2 receiver. Reminder, Stevenson also did not practice yesterday. That's 4 straight for him. Garrett Bradbury missing, but at practice. So to me, I'd feel a little bit better about that. In Tampa, where they're coming off of a bye, no Chris Godwin or Bucky Irving. So they've got other running backs there.
Hassan Reddick looks like he'll be out, which is an important edge rusher for them.
Yeah, and when you're missing practice coming off a bye, again, typically it's like you miss 2 practices. I know you're not going to play. This is a warning sign for them. So the Bucks, you mentioned, winning a lot of close games. They are 6-2, coming off a bye. Before that, 23-3 win at New Orleans. Before that, a 24-9 loss at Detroit, and they beat the Niners 30-19 about a month ago. Those are the only non-one score games on their schedule. Their last 3, 2 wins and a bad loss against a very good Detroit team. They also won at Seattle, which now looks better and better. Here's your favorite part of the podcast. Are you ready? Because we do this every week. The Bucks are 18th in offense by DVOA. They are 7th in defense by DVOA. They are 30th in special teams by DVOA. Again, no Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, all that different stuff. So when you start defensively, which is the more stable part of their team, their offense can show up one week and just is going to grab a 40 spot, or Baker Mayfield's going to throw picks and you only score 9 at Detroit. Defensively, they're good against the run and the pass. This is a rock solid unit. Where are the Patriots' chief problems here when they match up?
Well, first of all, the Patriots are still having a lot of trouble running the ball. They're up to 27th running the ball because they were a little bit better last week, but still that's very bad. The Bucks are 5th against the run. They're not running the ball, especially no Stevenson, is going to be tough. Although I will say the Bucs are very poor against running backs as receivers. So that points to Travion Henderson, maybe with a good amount of receiving yards in this game. So it's not like he's not going to do anything, but you're not going to be able to run on them at all. The other thing is Jamel Dean has had a great season. They tend to keep their cornerbacks on sides, and they are number one against throws to the left. That is Dean's side, and May has had more success throwing left than right this year. I don't know why that is. That could just be random variation. But he's also been very good up the middle, and they are weak up the middle. They're 24th against throws up the middle.
And the one thing that has my attention, you didn't even mention, which is their blitz rate, 38%.
Yeah.
And you'd expect this from like a Todd Bowles defense, but don't get me wrong. This is not a Atlanta defense that we saw last week where they're blitzing almost half the time, but they're in single high and it's going to be some sort of zone blitz or you've got cover one. They are 50-50 split between two high safeties and a single safety. So like May's ability, not just to handle blitz pressure, and you can get into those numbers if you want, but it's identifying where those blitzers are coming from. Because the Bucs have 15 different players with at least a half a sack, is to me the battleground that should swing the war that will be Sunday, right? Does May know where the pressure is going to come from?
But he has done very good at it so far. The best quarterback in the league against the blitz this year has been Jared Goff, but the second best quarterback in the league against the blitz has been Drake May. His problem is that if you can bring pressure with 4 without blitzing, that's when he takes all the sacks.
And here's the thing, like there's, the deeper we get into the season, the bigger the sample, the more weight we should give those numbers. I tweeted the other day about the Browns' success running man coverage against him. And everyone's like, well, he's number 1 at EPA against, and man, it's a really good number. But when you contextualize it with who they played, teams that are bad at playing man coverage, okay, of course his numbers are going to be great against man coverage. And his scrambling factors into that, don't get me wrong. But the Bucs blitzing is very different from the Browns blitzing, from the Panthers blitzing, from the Falcons blitzing. So again, that kind of scheme, Todd Bowles of the whole bye week, his understanding of the McDaniel system, being in the AFC, and that cuts both ways. But again, just the understanding of he's got to know where it's coming from and be able to respond well, not just one or the other. And look, I trust him. You won't find a bigger Drake May believer than me, but there's something here that says like, just with the ball security issues, that is never more prevalent than against a Bucs team that is all boom or bust.
Yes, I agree. Also, I think I really want to see Kyle Williams do things this week. If Booty's
nice, yeah.
If Booty's not going to play, Kyle Williams is going to have a role. Let's see him do some stuff.
Yeah. One player we have not mentioned, and he's going to factor against running pass, Vita Vea, who, like, look, I've had a crush on this giant man since he was in college. And he's going to have a heads-on matchup against Jared Wilson at left guard and Garrett Bradbury, who might be banged up at center, and Mike Onwenu, who just sometimes looks like one of the best guards in the league. And other times you're going, has he ever seen a stunt before? I don't know what you really do with Vita Vea, who has seen all of the whams and the traps and the runs. They used to go tempo against bigger tackles like him. I don't know if they'll do that in the heat. How much of a role do you think he'll play? Oh,
a big role. I mean, he's a big reason why you can't run against them. I mean, if you want to run, you try to run outside. You try to do something to get away from him, I think. I mean, he's a really important player for them.
Yeah, it's huge. And those matchups, again, they've navigated in, against other defensive tackles, but it's just something where he's that good. He's now that experienced and versatile within the scheme that Bulls will leverage him at different spots and pressure points along your offensive line. It's not just going to be, hey, we know, TJ Watt is going to be on the defensive left and the offensive right, and we'll just kind of slide over there. One other thing I wanted to just mention is Levante David in the middle, who is lost maybe like a half a step, but is still a really, really good effective player. And behind him, Antoine Winfield Jr., among the best safeties in the league. So they're really strong up the middle, and that helps with their elite deep pass defense, but also just the awareness of like, I'm sure Josh McDaniels will have like a double pass or some kind of wrinkle in there, and that has to hit from midfield. But with those dudes, I'm just a little less confident because, again, they've got good players at every level, but experienced, heady players at every level.
Well, as the leader of the Levante David Hall of Fame committee, when the time comes, he's still really good. He's very headsy, and he makes his whole career. His thing has been making splash plays. He prevents conversions on third downs. He makes his biggest plays in the biggest moments.
Yeah. All right, solutions. You mentioned Travion Henderson as a factor in the passing game. I like that a lot, but I'll save my reasons why. Anything else you see like Josh McDaniels kind of hitting this button over and over and over again Sunday?
I mean, throwing the middle, throwing to the right, Zion McCollum, go after Zion McCollum instead of Jamel Dean. Identifying the blitzes, like you said. I think the biggest thing here is going to be identifying the blitzes and keeping that success against the blitz by properly identifying them and not getting under pressure and holding on to the ball. I don't know if you could fix Drake May's high sack rate during a season or if it's something you got to work on in the offseason. But if he's going to take sacks, he has to hold on to the ball. None of this waving the ball around thing so it can get stripped out. You got to hold on to the ball when you're taking a sack.
Yeah. I'll give you one more. I think this is a big Pop Douglas game too. And not just because Booty's out and you need to promote your next best receiver, but he'll work in that slot. And you mentioned, they're bottom 10 over the middle of the field by DVOA. Jacob Parrish is banged up, their rookie nickelback, who I really like coming out of the draft. But that's also just a spot where if they want to stay in spread personnel and force their defenders who normally don't want to be in pass coverage to stay there in zone or to match up, I just like Pop after the catch here, because this is a defense that thrives on Jamel Dean having 3 picks, 15 different guys with half sacks, but you can dink and dunk your way down the field. They're 20th in drop back success rate against, meaning more teams often than not are able to get 5, 6, 7 yards to sustain drives. It's the elimination of the deep plays that they've been able to have and their turnovers that are kind of sustaining this high ranking, which is a good way to play defense. Don't get me wrong. But like if there are offensive coordinators I trust, Aaron, to have a dink and dunk game plan, Josh is in the top 3, 5, 10.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say Tyke Smith was the nickel last year, and he was pretty good last year. So if Parrish is out and Tyke Smith plays nickel, it's not necessarily better for the Patriots.
Yeah, they're leading tackler as well. So that's a dude they trust in space and has kind of produced. All right, how does this play out for all our worries and concerns and ways to attack? What do you think happens offense versus Bucs defense?
I think that the problem the Patriots will have is running it out if they have a lead. That I think that the difficulty running, and especially having Vita Vea there, is going to make it so if the Patriots take an early lead, they're going to have a hard time finishing the game off, and there's a reasonable chance the Buccaneers can come back on it.
Yeah. I think May is going to throw an interception. And this, again, is more due to the Bucs having time off, more time to scheme, more time to prepare. I don't think that'll come early. I think the McDaniels dink and dunk script is going to work very well, like we saw last weekend. And then Water will kind of find its level with the talent. And you go, well, we can't run up the middle of Vita Vea. Can't really throw left all that much at Jamel Dean. And the Bucs, understanding that they've just kind of shrunk the field, can leverage that over time. If May protects the ball, they get out of there with a win. But I think there is one pick that keeps it close. I think the Patriots score between 20 and 27 points here, which may or may not be good enough depending on a Bucs offense that is just wild. But first, I got to tell you about PrizePicks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app, because it's this simple. You pick your own players. You pick the numbers associated with them. Sometimes you can change the numbers, and all you do is you just go more or less. And with those players and stats that you find at PrizePicks, you put 2 to 6 in a lineup, you lock it in, and it's that easy. You don't need to worry about different lines or this and that. It's just you, the players, and the stats. There's more freedom at PrizePicks than you'll find anywhere. I play this not on the Patriots and not with football, but I do this with basketball, watching the Celtics late at night. Shout out Jaylen Brown. Very happy night for me watching the Washington Wizards last night and the Celtics beating their brains out. Baseball, we're in baseball season. Hockey doesn't matter. But you go to PrizePicks, you take our advice, our stats, whatever you want, your own insights, because PrizePicks is the best place to watch sports and win cash anywhere, period, blank, because it is not gambling, not betting. It's America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. So here are the picks, our PrizePicks picks of the week. Demario Douglas, I just talked about him. More than 24.5 receiving yards. Easy enough. He's going to play. Kayshon Boutte probably won't. Emeka Egbuka, who we'll get to in a second, less than 71.5 receiving yards. He's going to get very familiar with Christian Gonzalez coming up. And Rachaad White, who probably will fill in for Bucky Irving, who did not practice yesterday for the Bucs, less than 43.5 rush yards, because Patriots don't get run on either. So there you go. Those are our PrizePicks picks of the week. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineup after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the PrizePicks app today. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Okay, Bucs offense versus Patriots defense. Catch the people up on Baker Mayfield and company if they've not watched any Tampa Bay this year.
I mean, the biggest story is the injuries. Mike Evans is out probably for the rest of the season. Chris Godwin hasn't played for a while. Egbuka has been excellent. But without him, without those other guys, you're talking about a lot of Tez Johnson. You're talking about a lot of Sterling Shepard, who's 9,000 years old at this point. A lot of 12 personnel with Cade Otton, and I'm totally blanking on the name of the other tight end. But they do throw to the tight ends a good amount, which is interesting because the Patriots have had some weaknesses with the linebackers in coverage. But yeah, their offense has been very inconsistent in part because of the injuries. Things have been very all over the place. And Baker, it's interesting. The Patriots' weakness has been man coverage, right? And even since Christian Gonzalez came back,
yes,
they give up 6.8 yards per play in man, which is 30th in the NFL. Here's the good news. Baker Mayfield has been terrible against man coverage this year. 4.0 yards per play against man coverage, minus 35% DVOA against man coverage. So I actually would suggest they play more man this week, even though it hasn't been that great for them this year, because one, Christian Gonzalez is fully healthy again, and two, it's a big problem for Mayfield with no Mike Evans and no Chris Godwin.
Yes. And man coverage lets you do what I would do. And this cuts to both the biggest danger the Bucs present, right, with their problems. It's Egbuka, who's got 34 catches and 562 yards with 5 touchdowns. Not a high success rate, but again, we talk about the Bucs as a boomer bust team. He's got 16.5 yards per catch, and that's top 10 in the league. Shadow him with Christian Gonzalez. Like that I think is very simple. And that won't always be man coverage like we saw against Atlanta. And sometimes the Patriots will bump assignments, and we've talked tons about that. But you can disguise zone looks still with a shadow. Because if you eliminate him, you mentioned Cade Otton, and then a tight end whose name also escapes me, all due respect to this person. Like, there's just not really many other places to throw. And they could throw to the running backs, so the Patriots also aren't that great. But you, again, can just funnel your defense everywhere else. If Gonzalez eliminates Egbuka, who, after May handling the blitz, this is the second battleground that I think swings this game more than any other on Sunday.
Payne Durham is the name of the second tight
Thank
end.
you.
He's not used as much in the passing game as Otton is.
No.
He's more of a blocker. But yeah, I mean, the injuries are a problem, and it's running against the Patriots will be tough also. I mean, listen, I don't think the Patriots defense is as good as fans believe it is. This is where the schedule really has mattered. This is where the defense looks better than it really is because of the schedule. This is a tougher offense than most of the offenses that they've played. This is a tougher quarterback than most of the quarterbacks that they've played, but he has his weaknesses. They should blitz him. He has been poor against the blitz this year, right? Where May has been great, Mayfield has been poor against the blitz. And we know the Patriots have had problem bringing pass pressure. And the way to get around that is to blitz a little bit more. And if you feel like you can trust Gonzalez in one-on-one, certainly, which I think you can, even against Egbuka, you blitz.
Yeah. Now, again, that invites the Bucs to do what they've done all season, which is boom or bust. They had the second highest variance offensively, according to your numbers, meaning, again, when they show up, they're as good as anybody. When they don't, it's bad. And they showed up in their last couple of games, which we highlighted as being, the only non-one score games, which tell you a little bit more because they're also more recent. Part of that is going to be protection. Tristan Wirfs is great left tackle, outstanding. You've got injuries now at right tackle with Charlie Heck, who's on the injury report. And Graham Barton is a young center, and he's been okay, and their guards are also a little bit young right now.
Gadecki's been injured, I think. One of the guards has dealt with injuries.
Yep. And so, this is a big Milton Williams and Christian Barmore game where I'm with you. I think blitzing in high leverage situations is something I want to do with Gonzalez, not passing off or bumping or pushing his assignment away from Egbuka. But I want to see first if I can just kind of get away with Barmore and Milton Williams applying pressure at those spots, because over time that should work. If it doesn't, then I'm more willing to turn up the heat, because I know if Mayfield just dumps it down to if Bucky Irving plays, or if he doesn't, Rachaad White, those still aren't matchups I love for the Patriots defense right now, given their numbers against running backs in coverage.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it's going to be White. I think Irving at this point is, like you said, if you don't practice right after a bye week, you're not playing. But I agree with you. And like I said, the tight ends, because the linebackers in coverage have been a problem. The Patriots are 28th in EPA per dropback against 12 personnel. So I would look for them to attack the Patriots that way, especially with Cade Otton.
Yeah, and base defense, which I think Atlanta last weekend, they got the Patriots in base, or the Patriots said, hey, we're going to play base against 11. So, eat this and try to throw if you can. And Atlanta didn't see much base the rest of the way, which was surprising to me. But I think if you're the Bucs, that's how I want the table to be set. Like you're saying, we'll play our 12. We're getting only 4 defensive backs in the field, and that takes Marcus Jones off. That's an advantage for us if we can kind of exploit it. You mentioned a success rate. Baker, again, has the 10th worst dropback success rate in the league, which again, I think speaks to the big plays. Did that scare you off at all about the blitz numbers, knowing, okay, this will work more often than not, but when it doesn't, that might be 6 the other way?
Sort of depends on what the score is.
It's fair.
Right? Like if you've got a lead, you can maybe play more conservatively. But if you're behind them, then you have to take the risk that they'll hit a big play because you want to get them off the field as much as possible so you can get your offense back on.
Yeah. And again, like we talk about Aguka, he's a rookie. He's been outstanding. The drop off, though, from him, you won't find anyone else. I think it's above 300 yards. He's got 562, 5 touchdowns. It's really just they're going to have to dink and dunk if they can't get the ball to him. So that's what you
when you say it's a bunch of dudes named Johnson. It really is a bunch of dudes named Johnson. Like you don't know who they are, right? Like that's what they have.
Yeah. We haven't talked about the run game at all, which is mostly because it's not good. Would you care to guess? Because Baker Mayfield's 33-yard scramble is their longest run of the season. Would you care to guess how long the longest run is by a running back for the Bucs is this year?
12.
16 yards. Yeah. Not good. Not great. And not really something I'm worried about if you're the Patriots. So, look, if you want to play 12, I might just match with base nickel anyway. Be like, okay, sure, go ahead. Like, we fit the run very well. Marcus Jones is fearless coming off of the edge as a nickelback. So that might also be a place where I'd say, okay, if you really want to do this, you might kill some clock, but you're not going to win more often than not if you're running the ball against.
No, you're not afraid of the explosives in the run game.
Yeah, that too. All right, how do you expect this side of the ball to play out?
I mean, I think this is where I was saying that I think the Patriots have some matchup advantages. I think the blitz stuff and the the man where Baker's had trouble with man this year because of the injured receivers, and I think that the Patriots. This looks better for the Patriots than I would have thought on this side of the ball. I mean, both sides are very close. It's a very close game.
It's an awesome game.
Both sides are very close. It's very 50-50. And this side of the ball is like that.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think just like I think the Patriots will go down and score in their opening drive, I think the Bucs in their first 2 series will have similar success. Again, the benefit of rest and time and just settling back in.
Yeah.
And you're at home. Yeah, the script, which we know the Patriots have had trouble with virtually all year. But then again, I just think, it'll take an explosive or two for them, which could happen. Baker extends plays exceptionally well. He's daring. He's fearless. The Patriots have had screw-ups against motion, and the Bucs motion a ton. I think for the Bucs, they score like the Patriots do between 20 and 27. Because there's just very few worlds, I think, Aaron, unless this is a disaster game from either quarterback, that this is a blowout either way.
I agree.
Yeah. All right, who you got?
Well, I really feel it's 50-50. If I have to pick, I would pick the Bucs to win. But I also, if I had to pick against the spread, I'd pick the Patriots to cover. The spread is 2.5. If I was a betting man, I'd want to stretch that to 3. But I mean,
so
this game
is 2 or 1 point game is what you're saying.
Very close.
Yeah.
It really is it could be like a 1 point game. It could turn on random bounces of the ball, random pick that you get or that bounces off your hands and you don't get. These teams are really closely matched, and some of the matchups favor the Bucs and some favor the Patriots. I think a little bit more favor the Patriots, which makes it a little closer considering that it's in Tampa, but I mean, it's very close.
Geography is the tiebreaker for me. This being in Tampa, and I know the Patriots are 4-0, and aside from the Bills, you can go down that list, and it's really not impressive anymore. The teams they've beaten on the road, they're rested, they're more ready. I think the Patriots are a better team. I think your numbers have that exactly right, 12th versus 13th or 14th. But I trust the quarterback, Baker, to do enough here to push them across. I got this Bucs 27, Patriots 24, but again, if this was in New England, it might be the same score that I pick. I just would flip it the other way.
I think that makes it. Yeah, I probably would do something like a 24-21, and then flip it if it was in New England and the Bucks had to deal with cold instead of the Patriots having to deal with humidity.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, thinking about the schedule, I don't remember if I have this exactly right, but like the Patriots play like 3 games against above average teams the rest of the year, but this is one of them. So yeah, this will be a little harder.
What do you make too of just? Do you feel at all they're due for just like it wasn't our best.
No, because that was last week.
You think that was last week? I mean, the
fact that I mean, there were a couple of kind of fluky plays, but they were not great last week. The fact that they won on a missed extra point, and then they managed to get the one pass to Hunter Henry that iced the game. But I mean, that was not one of their best performances. So I feel like if you feel like they're due for a performance where they're not that great, we saw it already.
So I guess it's not that great. It's more like the stinker, I think, is more what I'm saying. But on the flip side of Bucks, their variance
it could happen. It could happen. I kind of feel like the Ravens are the team where the stinker comes.
Oh, okay. All right. The big Baltimore stinker, as it may or may not be known.
With their much improved, but Baltimore defense is much improved in the last 3 weeks, and Lamar Jackson is back, and they're desperate for wins to get back into playoff position. And the Patriots will be hardcore playing hard against the Bills when that game comes. But yeah, if there's going to be a stinker, I think it's Baltimore.
Okay. Many moons away. That's actually the next road game I will be at. Fingers crossed, pending this baby's arrival. In the meantime, what can we expect from you? What do you got coming? Aside from, again, I'm sure watching this game, which will be awesome. But what should we look for from FTN?
Just all the usual stuff, all these splits. If you want to get DVOA for all these splits, man versus zone, 1 high versus 2 high, different run concepts, we have all that charting data. And then we have DVOA and EPA split for all that charting data if you have a subscription to the FTN Stats Hub. So FTNfantasy.com. And of course, we also have picks and we have great fantasy projections. Jeff Radcliffe is an award-winning fantasy projections guy. So you'll find all of that stuff at FTNfantasy.com.
Awesome. Perfectly put. We use DVOA in this podcast every single week.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you coming on. Go enjoy your show with Mike, and I'm sure we'll see you down the line. But this was great, man. I appreciate you.
You got it.
All right, we didn't tease this episode, but Khyiris Tonga in the title should have said everything. Another 4-minute drill who the Patriots defensive tackle has been a popular guy. We're not going to start the clock yet, but you didn't answer when I asked you to walk in. Like, do you like the attention Tom Curran's talking to you? You've done interviews with Taylor Kyles. Like, has it been all right being a popular guy?
I just like being liked, man. So popular, I don't know popular, but yeah, it's been good.
Cool. All right, I've been looking forward to this for a while. Let's start the clock, and we'll get going. All right, Pop Douglas told us a few weeks ago his alias in an Uber. He gives a fake name, and it's Leonard. Do you have an alias when you get an Uber?
It's just my initials, KT, but I never put my name out.
Okay. Does anyone ask you about being a football player?
No.
Wow, lucky you.
Yeah.
Carlton Davis just straight up lies to anyone who gives him a ride. He goes, no, I've never even heard of Carlton Davis. All right, Jared Wilson told me Sunday after the win that whenever he sees you in the hallway, he just goes, Tonga. Is that the weirdest way anyone's ever greeted you? And if not, what is the strangest way?
There's been a lot. I served a mission, so I've been called some crazy stuff, but this is probably the nicest. Yeah, Jared's doing probably the nicest way. Yeah.
So you like that?
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, cool. Strongest player you've ever faced is a strong guy yourself.
Shoot, probably
You can pick a teammate if you want. That's not a cop out yet.
Okay, yeah. Let me probably like one of the O-line, Big Mike.
Big Mike's a big dude. Okay, it's in the nickname. Have you ever cried during a movie?
One movie only.
What movie was that?
The Longest Walk.
Yeah? What part really got to you?
I think that's what it's called.
That sounds like a movie coming up now. Longest Walk.
I'm wrong. It's
Okay.
The longest. I'm spacing it, bro.
Okay.
It's been a while.
Antonio Gibson cries during the Notebook, so we'll just have to look this up and maybe clip some stuff in there. You can bust him on that. All right. You get a day to yourself. No work, no ball, no family obligations. You can do whatever you want. What are you doing?
Playing video games.
What are you playing?
I'm playing Apex.
Oh, okay. I heard Keyshawn Booty's kind of top of the leagues, top of the locker room in Madden. You ever get a run at him?
I don't know. I didn't hear Kayshawn Bowie. I thought B Moore was like the number one player in the.
B Moore is number one at everything, I think, according to B Moore. Is that straight?
Yeah, that's accurate.
Okay. Vrabel gives some pop quizzes we heard in meetings. Has he called on you yet, and what did you have to answer?
He calls on everybody, and it's usually just a random thing about the opponent or something that we're being taught this week. So yeah.
Did you pass the quiz?
Passed it.
My man. You told my guy Doug Kite of the Herald you can quote Low Key Sing, Bob Marley, and J. Cole, your favorite artists. I think you know where this is going. You got 10 seconds?
I can't. No, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Nothing?
I can't give it to you.
What song are you singing in the shower then?
In the shower, Fantasia.
How's that go?
That goes up.
Close. All right, I heard your siblings nicknamed you Chin Po from Mulan, who I remember by visual look, but I don't remember the name. If you had to pick a different character to be nicknamed after, Chin Po, very lovable big guy from Mulan, would you replace that nickname with another character?
No, I'll probably leave it just because it's my siblings who gave it to me.
Yeah, it's a very sweet. It's endearing, but you can see why you're laughing. All right, would you rather a sack or a stop on 3rd and 1? Run stop.
Sack.
Okay. Girls said this about me in high school.
We love your mom.
All right. Did that help?
Yes.
You have a 4-year-old daughter, I believe. What is the most dad thing about you? You know what I mean?
Like dad thing?
Yeah, like the way that you dress, or you like looking at traffic all the time, or are you telling her to watch out or be careful?
Yeah, probably always telling her to be careful, like maybe too many times, but yeah.
Cool. All right, 2 more. Who's the biggest badass you've ever played with? Like toughest guy, don't mess with him.
Keem Hicks.
Keem Hicks?
Yeah, dog.
He was here for a little bit. He was good. Last question. Who should we interview next and why?
Have y'all gotten Christian Barmore?
We need a whole run of this. We've had 4 people say Barmore, who's been on the show.
Oh, he's already been?
Yeah, I got to show you this when we're done. Okay. For now, we're out of time, and I just got to give you one. Tonga! From Jared Wilson. Thanks, man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.